As I've mentioned before, this part of the Adams euphonium is a unique and patented feature. It's the adjustable gap receiver. Now I've got the mouthpiece inserted tightly into the receiver, so that gives me a little extra leverage to turn it. And by turning it, it's screwing this barrel in and out, which adjusts the gap between the end of the mouthpiece, right here, and the end of this pipe, which is hidden inside here. There's always a gap in all horns, and being able to adjust it means you have some control over how the horn feels. Right now I've got it screwed all the way into the starting position. That's as small as the gap can be on this horn and this mouthpiece together. But I usually play with it turned out several turns. Now my current position is 3 turns out. So I keep track by looking at this seam here and the logo on the mouthpiece or some other marking on the mouthpiece that I can watch as I spin it. There's 1 turn, 2 turns, and when I arrive at 3 turns, it's time to tighten this screw down. I've turned the adjustable gap receiver all the way back in again, and the caliper shows a measurement of 1.762 for the extension of this piece here, which is just one way to keep track of it. I'll move it back out to the 3 turns, and you can see how much difference that made. So 3 full turns make that much difference in the gap, and that gap is rather critical, so this is a change that matters. I'm going to try to get a measurement here. I think that's lined up about right, and now you can see we're down at 15.19. So if you have one of these, keep that in mind as you're playing around with it to adjust it. I would think that if you turned it, for example, a half turn, you're not going to notice a lot of difference. It would be very hard to detect. So I would stick with a full turn as the minimum. In fact, I would suggest 2 full turns probably for the minimum increment, at least while you're getting used to it. One way to tell what this is doing for you is to screw it all the way in and play a little bit, and then take it out, say, 8 full turns or 10 full turns. That will give you an idea what the very close gap would feel like compared to a very open gap. By moving this in and out, you're adjusting the feel of the horn, the way it responds to you, the way it feels to you as you blow into it. It does affect the intonation very slightly, but really not much at all. This is roughly the difference. In other words, my finger is back about as far as the gap change that I just made with 3 full turns. Not a whole lot. When you pull the tuning slide of an instrument, you're getting double the effect of whatever you see in length here. So if I move this slide out this far, I'm moving it out that far over here too. So it's this plus this is the difference in length. Now going back over here, I'm only moving 1 piece. So the tuning slide would move about that far to make up that much difference. So the intonation difference is not much at all. It does make a small difference in tone. I don't know how to describe it, but you will hear a little bit of difference if you play around with that yourself. So the difference in feel and the difference in tone are the important things. Don't even consider the difference in pitch because it really isn't relevant. I hope you found that extra information helpful, and I hope you get a chance to try an Adams euphonium with this feature. It's a very interesting feature, and it does make a difference. Thanks for listening.